It's Sunday, the 14th of March, and it's day 4 of the 36th America's Cup. And no one expected to be where we are now. 3-all, 1 win apiece on 3 consecutive days. That is pretty extraordinary. You've got to go a long way back in America's Cup history to even find a draw that went to 3-3. And even then, it wasn't on consecutive days. So, looking forward, what's going to happen next? Well, I'm just off to go and meet Freddie Carr again for our morning chat, and we're going to discuss and try and unpick what we've seen so far and how it helps us think about what might be coming next. We were going to meet at our favourite place, the gossip place, Rushworth's, but it's the weekend and it's heaving there, isn't it? Absolutely heaving. Great to see. The whole waterfront is absolutely jam-packed. So we've come one street back to Auckland's fish market, which is a fantastic place. A brilliant fish market here, actually. Great for lunch. So we come here to have a little chat. So, Freddie, I mean, we're 3 wins apiece now. And we keep talking about that. It's mad, isn't it? It's mad.
Can't get my head around it.
I think the last time this happened, where it was 3-all, was actually 1983.
Right.
I might be a little bit wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it was 1983. And even then, it wasn't an even. I think Liberty had won 2 races, and was then. So it wasn't anything like what we're seeing now. And we keep talking about pressure. Certainly in the media, we keep talking about pressure.
Yeah.
But I mean, it must be going nuts now, isn't it, between the teams?
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine, you know. I think Glenn Ashby, as he crossed the finishing line yesterday to take their race win and tie it up at 3-all, he said, regatta starts again tomorrow, boys. Regatta starts again tomorrow, and it does. I mean, here we are, so it's the first of 4 wins now, isn't it, really? That could be over in 2 days. And the pressure is really, really ratcheting up. And we know, like all sportsmen, our sailing, our America's Cup elite like to play it cool. Oh, yeah, 1 race at a time and we're just going through the process. Nah, mate, not at all. When you have 2,000 spectator boats out there, when you have a global audience of millions, when you leave the viaduct and there's 20,000 people on the wall cheering you out, it's not 1 more race at a time. You are very aware how big this day is, very aware.
Which team do you think is better at the moment at dealing with that pressure?
Do you know, that's a great question. So the pressure is predominantly on the Afterguard, and to switch it up again, the pressure is on Pete Burling and Jimmy Spithill. We've seen every race winner of all 6 races has got the better start and the better of the first exchange on the upwind. So it really has, so far in this light airs, come down to who has controlled the last minute of the pre-start better and got off the line with good pace, and then in a few cases who's done that first tack on the boundary better. So I'm looking at who surrounds those people to help them cope with it.
So talking about the Afterguard, I mean, we could talk about all of them, but one person that it's been very interesting to watch, and maybe it's just because I've seen him more, we've seen him more in America's Cup, is Jimmy Spithill.
Yeah.
Jimmy, he seems to have changed in this event. He seems a different person. He's quieter. In the press conferences, he's quieter.
Yeah, I think it is a slightly different Jimmy Spithill. You've got to remember, this is his 4th straight America's Cup match, so he's pretty used to it, which is phenomenal, that record. And I kind of look at, I think how Jimmy might be dealing with it right now, and he's obviously got Philip Presti, who has been his coach within the sailing world for a good number of cup cycles, you know, and I know he relies a lot on Philippe, and he's a great guy, Philippe. He's very, very calm, very zen, and will bring a nice calm to Jimmy. The other thing that I think that Spithill has, which I really like and I find intriguing, is he has this whole other philosophy and life and vision almost outside of sailing, where he's a very talented boxer, and he's hooked up over the last couple of months with some of the very best boxers in New Zealand, even a guy ranked number 10 in the heavyweights, Joseph Parker, and he's been sparring with Joseph Parker in New Zealand, who's fought for heavyweight belts, and you can really think that might be a great release for him. Just step away from the sport completely punch someone in the face and feel a lot better. So I think there's a bit of that about Jimmy.
This is a lesson for all of those that go into the press conference or
Wind
him up in the mix zone.
Yeah, don't wind him up in the mix zone, whatever you do. He's a good boxer.
Yeah. So, as a team, when you look at both teams, at the moment, which team do you think is dealing better with the pressure? Because I'm not trying to put words in your mouth here, but just setting up a bit, when I look at Team New Zealand, when they lose, they certainly Peter Burling finds it quite hard to conceal his disappointment. I'm really quite surprised by that.
Yeah, he does like those interviews they do in between the races. He is frustrated, but man, whenever the pressure is heaped on, the last 2 days, Prada have won the first race. That makes the pressure on the second race massive. And he's come out and delivered in both pre-starts and sailed away. So I then look at what they're doing in that half-hour gap between race 1 and 2 on any given race day. And it's not lost on me that Glenn Ashby is up there chatting to the lads. You see Ray Davies on there chatting to the lads, and you've just got to think about how Ray Davies has been with Emirates Team New Zealand for 20 years. Like, him and Curly and Richard Meacham, those guys have been with Emirates Team New Zealand for 20 years. They absolutely represent the core and the thinking of that team. All three of them have been through the loss in 2013 that will be talked about forever. All three of them were in 2007 when they pushed Alinghi really close. All three of them lost the cup in 03 and they won the cup. They tasted that victory in 2000 and they were instrumental in 2017 in winning the cup.
What do you think we should be looking for now? We've seen 6 races. We've actually seen the racing take place in sort of fairly similar conditions. It's not like we've gone through the whole wind range in 3 days, is it? So it feels like we're starting to identify certain things about boats. Looking forward, rather than looking back at and analysing what we've seen so far, what do you think we should be looking for over the next couple of days? What are the things that define these two teams?
Great question. If you ask me to sit here and pick a boat to go out racing today, which is a similar forecast as we've had for the last 4 days, basically under 12 knots, it's really hard to say. A lot of it is decided on the pre-start, and although Prada got down speed and came off their foil in race 6, I think their low speed manoeuvring on those higher surface area foils is a real bonus for them, and it's a race to the top mark. There hasn't been an overtake yet, Matt, as you know. And I think they're set up to get to the top mark well. They're set up to get to the top mark well because they can manoeuvre and kill speed on both foils. And their tacking is brilliant. Their tacking is really powerful. Like, if Team New Zealand lose, let's say, 70 metres attack, Prada are losing 55 metres attack. And you do 3 tacks up the first beat, and there's the cross you need to get to the first mark. So.
And yet, on the flip side of that, I wouldn't disagree with any of that.
Yeah.
On the flip side, with Team New Zealand, downwind, every time we see them go downwind, they seem to take time. Well, maybe not every time, but more often than not, they're taking time out of.
Yeah, I mean, so whenever Prada get the better start, Team New Zealand hang 200 metres behind them. Whenever and that's how they finish. Whenever Team New Zealand get a jump, by the time we finish, it's 400-500 metres. So Team New Zealand has the faster boat around the race course as a whole. Just Prada has the better boat to get them to the top mark first. That's what I'm saying. Which one would I pick? No idea.
And presumably, based on what you're saying there, Luna Rossa is a better boat if you're going into boat-to-boat conflict. If you're in a situation where you get attacking duel, they're going to have the upper hand.
Don't want to go anywhere near attacking duel with Luna Rossa.
Okay, so we started to unpick that. That's pretty interesting. Okay. Looking ahead longer term, it looks like there's a bit more breeze coming in later on in the week.
Yeah.
If we get up into the teens and the mid-teens and beyond, do you think the picture will change much then?
I think so. I really think so. I think the speed that we see from Team New Zealand downwind with their sort of lower aspect foils, that kind of torpedo bulb that they have, just how skinny they are, that's all down to that high-speed foil look. They are cashing in on the downwind so far, but aren't getting the boat speed numbers to really cash in upwind. I think if we have a day over 15, it could look quite different. But I've been wrong with pretty much all of my predictions so far.
We all have.
So who knows?
Great. Well, thanks very much for joining us again, Freddie. It's always really interesting. It's still a lunchtime thing. We've got to move this into the evening somehow.
You are right, but if we moved it into the evening, we might not do the one the next morning.
Yeah,
that's my worry.
Yeah, good point, well made. All right, see you next time. So that's what we thought in the morning, but how did it play out by the end of the day? Here's a quick summary. Day 4 of the 36th America's Cup, and the numbers were starting to tell their own story. In 36 Cup matches, there have been 25 clean sweeps. The last time there was a 3-all scoreline was in 1983. So, to be 3 races apiece after 3 days of racing makes it clear that this Cup is extraordinary already. And all those that arrived to watch the racing knew it. Auckland was ready for action. Perfect late summer weather, wall-to-wall sunshine, thousands of spectators afloat, even more ashore. All eyes were trained out to sea. Was today the day that the deadlock would be broken? Possibly, but it needed the wind to show up. Course A offered the best possibility, but the average wind strength never exceeded the 6.5 knot threshold, and after several attempts at working towards a start, eventually racing was cancelled for the day. Tomorrow sees racing return, and hopefully the wind.